We have a very special presentation from our very own K6XSS, a ham who got his license during the pandemic, kind of because of the pandemic, because it gave him the time to, because there was online testing, because there was all of these things. Gregg is from originally Pinole, is it? And has been, a Bay Area native. Went to San Francisco State and works at a variety of tech firms. He's a software kind of guy. Point is, he's going to take us on a tour of JS8Call so we can see what those things are. So, Gregg, our very own member at large, Gregg Horton, take her away, sir.
Intro to JS8. HWCPY. You'll know why we say that at the end of this, hopefully. I'm Gregg Horton, K6XSS. Who am I, though? I'm a Benicia resident now since August 2020. I was in Oakland before that. I got my technician license in October 2020 and busted my butt to get my general in January 2021. I tried to get my extra right after, and then I was sick of studying, so I've stopped for now. My day job is security engineering. The XSS in my call sign stands for cross-site scripting, which is a common security vulnerability. Things I do other than being on the radio, I like to garden. I grew some radishes and broccoli and all kinds of other things so far. I like bikes as transportation. They're the best machine ever invented. I love trains, tacos, hikes, and parenting by default. Cute kids. I can throw them in a backpack and take them up the hill and play radio. They love it. So JS8Call, what is it? So the idea of JS8Call, this is from the website, is to take the robustness of FD8 mode and layer on a messaging and network protocol for weak signal communication on HF with keyboard to keyboard interface. JS8Call is heavily inspired by things like WSJTX, FLDigi, SQ-Call, and would not exist without the hard work and dedication of the many developers in the amateur radio community. So it is a tool that is built off of many of the other tools, especially FD8, which if you're in digital modes at all, you are doing FD8. It is the most common way to contact people on ham radio right now, which is kind of amazing to me. So why JS8Call? Why even bother with this? I mean, we have FD8, you can just get signal reports, have a lot of fun, contact the world. Well, similar to FD8, it's a weak signal mode, so that's cool. It has some forward error correction. It operates within 15-second cycles, so just like FD8. And it compresses data, text data, and transmit it in back-to-back frames. The software on the receive side stitches those pieces together to give you a full message. And then on JS8Call, you can use your keyboard, type a message to people. You can rag chew on your keyboard, which is really cool. So what's required to do this? So you need a simple antenna. I'm using an in-fed half wave. It works pretty well. You need a radio, of course. Less than 30 watts is fine. This is a low power mode. You don't need a lot to make it work. You need an audio interface. This is my most used device on my bench besides my radio nowadays, because I have an older radio. But if you have, say, a ICOM 7300, you don't need it. You can just use the USB cable, plug it right in, you're ready to go. And then you need the JS8Call software. It runs on Windows, it runs on Mac, it runs on Linux, it runs on a Raspberry Pi. I will show you that tonight. I have everything transferred over to a Raspberry Pi now, which is really neat. So whatever you have, you can run it, and it's a pretty lightweight app. Just a note here, remember time sync is important. If your time is off from the official time, you won't make your contacts. So you want to sync it with time.nist.gov, and there's tutorials about to do that, of how to do that, whether you're on Linux or Windows or Mac or whichever. But just remember that if that's not set, you could be like, it's not working, and that's why. Constructing messages. So messages are typed into an outgoing message box, which is in the lower center section. I'll show you some screenshots after this. The software separates the message into a series of frames that get transmitted for the 15-second intervals. Each frame is 13 characters, so that includes spaces. So get in your your T9 abilities. Think about things in short little bursts of text. Longer text messages require additional frames, of course. And then messages may require 3 to 7 timeframes with one transmission sequence. And JS8 is 100% duty cycle. Each transmission is a message, and it's broken down into frames. So this shows you how the message is actually going to be broken up for you. So you have the call sign of the sender, and then the who's receiving it. Each frame is going to be 13 characters in a 12.5 second transmission with a 2.5 second break. So the frames are transmitted consecutively until the entire message is complete. So it could take 3 to 6 15-second transmissions. So 6 frames are going to take 1 minute and 30 seconds to transmit. So think about that when you're typing out your messages. Maybe use shorter words or be brief. This is an example of the actual screen for JS8Call. So let me use my mouse. Along the top here, you can see the frequency that you're on. It has frequency allocations, much like FD8 does. Your call sign right here. Some buttons around to set the heartbeat, which I'll talk about. The transmission, receiving, and then over here is messages received. So you'll get those, and then this is like your conversations. So this over here on the left is showing like all messages that you can see, and then this center section in yellow is like your conversations. And then here on the right is every station that you've heard. So even if if 2 other people are having a conversation, they'll show up here, and then you can like right-click them, send them a message. This section right below the yellow is like where you type your messages. Here's a good old waterfall, so you can actually see the signals. And then here's some more settings over here, like your offset, your display, and whatnot. These are the frequencies for JS8Call. The most popular is your 40 meters and your 20 meters. So yeah, if you want to actually listen to people there. One of the big caveats of JS8Call is there's not a lot of people using it. So it could be rare that you actually get to have a conversation. One of the excuses to have this talk tonight is to get more of you set up on it, and so we can have some more contacts on there. I have had one fun conversation with someone down south, other than just heartbeat reports. So I've mentioned heartbeat reports. You're like, what the heck is that? Heartbeat reports checks propagation automatically. So if other people are running the software and you go, give me a heartbeat, their app will come back to you and give you a signal report automatically. So that's actually how you check your propagation, see how you're doing, even before you want to try to make some contacts. And another amazing feature of this, there's off-air messaging. You can send a message to somebody and they can pick it up later. And you can also relay messages. So if a station can hear another, a station you want to contact and you can't hear them, you can relay the message through the center point, which is pretty cool. And I think that makes this not only a fun like hobby mode, but it would be very useful in emergency communication situations where you really need to get messages out there. And anybody can be a beacon and relay messages to other stations. Here's some quick operating tips. Set your ALS to 0. Use 25 watts. JS8Call is 100% duty cycle, so you don't need much. Use heartbeat pings to check your propagation. Use abbreviations. You know, we are good at abbreviations being from Morse code land, but you know, you can still shorten up words as necessary. You know, shorten it enough that you don't lose the meaning of the message, though. As we all are ham operators, we have to keep the meaning of the message clear. Keep messages to three to four cycles. As you know, a cycle is 15 seconds. So if you're sending a long message, that's 4 cycles, that's a minute. It's gonna be pretty long to wait for something. And there's a QSR party next weekend. It's every second Saturday of the month. It's organized by KN4CRD. So if you can get set up and get your radio going, you can have a little party with everybody else every second Saturday to test it out. And that might be a good idea if you're wanting to get into this and you want to actually contact somebody. There'll be people around. That's it for now. I'm going to show you a live demo after this, but I just want to say thanks. I took most of this from this presentation here. There's a link here and I can send that out afterwards. And a lot of this information is just on the JS8Call site. Like their site is really good at their documentation and whatnot. Are there any questions before I jump into the next section?
Yeah, I've got a question.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, the contacts are 15 seconds back and forth, even if you have a long message.
So it'll wait. I mean, they could send you a message, but
Right.
they'll probably wait for your message to finish up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
they
this is
just run sequential blocks.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Thank
And
you.
I can do it. I can show you a test of that right now since we're here. Yeah. Any more questions before I show you the actual program?
The one question that I have is there an end of message token so that you know that if you're in the middle of a message, do you know that there's more coming, or is there a token at the very end of the message to say this message is complete?
I think that it's this diamond symbol here that they add right in here. If you can all see that. Yeah, and when you're totally done talking, I've said 73. To be honest, I haven't gotten a lot of experience with this, so I'm still learning as well as spreading the knowledge to all of you.
So your whole message goes into a buffer and then it's spit out over the four segments. Okay.
I can start by showing some of the settings that I have on here. So when you go into the settings, you're going to set your call sign and your grid locator with the extra little bit, not just the Charlie Mike 88 for me, but I put the VC in there. There's call sign groups. I have not messed with that yet. There's a default CQ message here, CQ, 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 your grid square. And then how do you copy? Right in here is the default reply message. And then you can put in some station info here, some station status, and then radio settings. These are going to be different for every single radio. If anybody here uses Raspberry Pi to do your digital modes and you know how to get the sound above 15 dB, let me know. I've been having lots of trouble with that. Trying to see if there's anything else in there. That's just audio settings, reporting. So this logs just in the same way as like FD8 does. And so you get a log file and a .ADI file. And so I'm using CloudLog, which is an online site out of the UK. It's a paid service. And what I can do is I can push the log file from my terminal, from my computer up to that site, and then it syncs with QRZ for me and a bunch of other sites. So once you're done making those contacts, you can, at the end of your session, just push that up. Here's the default frequencies set in here. If you wanted to change those, you could use this on a different frequency. Nobody's stopping you, but you're more likely to find people. Canned messages and saved messages are a big part of this. So you can have like, this is your 73 message here. You can put in, like if you have a radio setup that you always use, you can put in a special message there. Or if you have like one you use for QRP or one you use for outdoor, you can set that all up. You can get notifications. I don't have notifications set up on here because I'm using a Raspberry Pi and these are audio notifications and I can't get the audio out through the computer I'm using. So I don't have that on, but yeah, you can get it. If you have it on your home computer, it'll ping you just like, you know, your email client or your chat clients. And then you can set all your colors all you want and make it all pretty however you want. Yeah. So trying to see if there's anything else to show up here. I'm going to try 40 meters. So yeah, we can send out a heartbeat. So we'll just click this, send a heartbeat message. And you can see it splits up the message like that. It's one block for that. So I'm asking any other, there's my cheap Amazon light going off as I'm using ham radio. So I am sending out a message to any other clients that are running. Hey, what's my signal report? We'll see if we get anything back. If we don't, I'll switch back to 20 meters because maybe it's a little too early for 40 meters. Yeah, I would expect something back by now. So let me switch over to 20. Oh wait, I just skipped them as I switched. Yeah, okay, so cool. We got some signal reports now. So I got a, from this W5ODJ, I got a net -3, KFOAER, I got a -9, NOGQ, I got a -6. Now, where are these people located? Not sure, but I would say these aren't great, but they're not terrible. You know, you could still make contacts with these. Let's just do a CQ message, see what happens. So calling CQ. CQ, Charlie Mike 88.
Hey, Greg, this is Chris. Quick
Yeah, what's up?
question. What is the SNR column over there in the message received?
Here?
A little bit to the left.
This?
Yeah, the SNR, thank you. Versus the SNR that is in their message. Is that the signal, their signal strength coming into you?
No, I think that's my signal strength, but it might be different than the SNR. I'm gonna have to look that up exactly.
In other words,
SNR.
how would you know their signal strength? Or how would they know yours? I guess is what I'm asking. And I'm just thinking that might be, oh, look, you're getting stuff.
Yeah, I'm
Anyway,
getting some messages.
I don't want
dropping.
to drag it on, so we can
Yeah.
discuss that later.
I mean, I'll be quite honest, I'm not as versed on the signal reports as I should be at this point. I'm still getting used to it. So yeah, I will look up what SNR stands for. I wish it told me.
It's signal to noise ratio. And the ones on the left are being measured in dB. I think the other ones are based off of S units. Might be what that's going for.
Got it. Okay. So this is my auto reply. So somebody just sent out a heartbeat report or heartbeat request. And so we're getting, okay, do we want to send them a signal to noise ratio of -16? Yes, let's send that back to them. So the heartbeats are really, really kind of fun because that's like the way people ping back and forth. Yeah, we sent that back. Nobody responded to my CQ, so that's fine. Somebody here is in Washington State. I don't know. Oh wait, no. Save messages.
How far
Try to
down
see.
can you work somebody and expect a decent contact?
I'm not entirely sure, but it is low, you know, weak signal propagation type stuff. So I think that they can be pretty low there. But
it's kind of like Whisper and and FD8, so you should be able to work the world depending upon what you're doing, and that's the beauty to it, is something that none of us would be able to hear with an ear, our computers can hear.
Yeah. Is that person talking to me? I can't tell. No, they would have my call sign in their message if they were directing it to me, but I don't know why it's highlighting it. Oh, just because I clicked on it. So yeah, this section right here is like where you get your actual people. So if you mouse over it and wait, you can see, oh, hey, look, we got somebody, WE4TEX. Yeah, so that you can see they're hearing these stations and they've been heard by me. Hi from Huntsville, Texas. Hello from Benicia, California. I'm presenting now on JS8 call to the local club. Okay, so it's going to go through. Somebody else called CQ. Wow, we're getting a lot of activity right now. This is great. Okay, so it's sending out the first portion, which is my call sign, then their call sign.
I think you got it started, Greg.
I know. So I will admit that I emailed the JS8Call list, and then I told the SF Radio Club if anybody is doing a JS8Call. I just was like, whoever wants to make contact tonight, come online around 7:20. Okay, cool.
That's kind of cool. You can see what part of the message gets sent in each chunk, how it lines it out as it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I could answer the CQ, but I think having more than one conversation at a time would be a lot for me right now. So I'm going to just let somebody else get them. I'm going to check N7 AGK heard by me. I don't know who they're hearing yet. So yeah.
Now, Greg, that message that you sent back to Texas was longer than 13 characters, right? So you had
Yes.
and it doesn't really show you that you're starting to type into a new frame here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you just kind of have to know.
Yeah, and
you know, not that it's a big deal, but just realize that, yeah, you're not going to know right away that you've got more than one a frame. Look at that.
yeah. Yeah, you know, you just have to know the character length, and also the software solves it for you. I mean, if you happen to write like, you know, War and Peace, it's going to take you forever to send it, but like the software is not going to break. Oh, good copy, -10 into Bay Area. Yeah, who is this? W1 WWA. I feel like I've seen that call sign before. Wish there was a way to right click and just pull it up on QRZ right quick. If you're using, I think you can use this with Grid Tracker. You can definitely, I've been messing around with Grid Tracker and FD8. Has anybody else done that?
When I was doing a lot of FD8 up until my computer died, yes, I was using Grid Tracker quite exclusively. It's a wonderful program.
Well, they didn't get back to me. That's fine.
W1 WWA is Kurt Lautenschlager in Alameda.
Alameda, yeah. Cool. Yeah, well, that's JS8Call. Yeah, for my setup now, last weekend I pulled out a Raspberry Pi that like I have about 3 of them that I've bought over the years with the intentions of doing projects with them. And I finally set one up to be my ham radio computer. So that's pretty neat because I can use VNC and just access it from my laptop. If everything's on, I can go downstairs and do it. So like if you're wanting a dedicated little computer to run your digital modes, it's really easy to set up. And if you have questions about it, let me know.
And Greg, the offset frequency, and I see yours is, I think, 1389. That is also automatic or software kind of controlled, right? Once you're on that main frequency, I guess you could manually do it, but it is true that the software kind of does that.
So no.
Okay.
You can well, so like when you turn it on, you'll be on a frequency, and you don't need to be on the same frequency as the station that you're talking to.
Yeah.
Because they're all kind of in the general space.
Right. 3 kilohertz probably, or whatever it is. Maybe it's not that wide, but
yeah. And so what like you want to do is actually, if you see a lot of stations here, you want to pick a space that doesn't have any activity in it, because you don't want to be getting on over somebody else. And like this is pretty, like FT8 has this sort of like, I don't know, nicety to it. Like you're expected to find another frequency and not step on people if you can help it.
got it. Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Well, we tried to make a contact. They didn't get back to us. Maybe the band closed at that moment. I don't know. Oh, WE4TX is asking, I am new to this. Any recommendations on a portable tablet? Oh, see, antenna running. Roger, Roger, Denver. You have very solid signal here. My rig is G90 at 15 watts. So Denver, 15 watts. That's pretty amazing.
That's one of those
G90.
Zygu radios, right? The G90, I think.
Yeah.
So Greg, the area below 1,000 hertz and above about 2,600 is marked in yellow. Is that a function of the bandwidth of your radio, or is that a function of JS8Call?
I think that's the software, because I'm using a Kenwood TS570D, which is from the late 90s. And so my radio is not telling this program anything. I have the signal link, which is sending the audio, and then I have a cat cable to control the radio. But there's no way that it could know anything about my radio. So yeah, I think that that's just the software.
Okay, so I see you have it set for centering at 1500, 2 kilohertz width with a min and a max. Is that are those recommended settings? Or I mean, there's a similar thing with FD8 using WS-JTX, but it's a little wider than that. So I'm just curious.
That's what the default is. So I have not changed that. This one over here is your level. This green one is like, I don't really mess with that. The one over here, the cat, is your receiving level. You want it between like around 30. If it gets too high, it'll go red, and then you'll need to know to put down your volumes. Yeah, it actually tells you if you mouse over 30 dB recommended when only noise present, green when good, red when clipping. Clipping may occur, yellow when too low. I've had audio issues under Linux, but I'm getting things, so something's working. Yeah. Well, who is gonna try this out? Gonna set up something this week for the QSO party?
Looks easy enough to set up, especially if you've been doing FD8. The interface is very similar.
Yeah, I mean, I basically with the settings, this is FD8, the program, just with the extra software put into it. So like all your radio settings are going to be exactly the same, whatever those are. If you have FD8 working, just copy those settings into the cat control and rig options, and then whatever your audio card is named, it's going to be exact. When I setting this up, I took out FD8, copied all the settings, and then it just worked. So yeah, there was nothing new that I had to do.
Looks like a great place to go when FD8 is cheek to cheek.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I don't know, this kind of brings back some of the fun of ham radio, that like FD8 is about, where can I go? Where's my signal going? And no, not a lot of personality. This is like, oh, you can kind of sit on there, have a conversation, meet new people, but still do it in a way that's like very low power. And like with this setup with the Raspberry Pi, you can bring the Raspberry Pi out, run it off of a battery. It's, like 5 volts, I think. And then, so you have a battery for that. And then your radio is running on a battery. So you could do this in the middle of the woods, like no problem. If nobody else asks questions, I'll stop sharing and let us get to the rest of the club business.
Great presentation, Gregg. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Gregg. Great. Very informative.
Yes, good.
Well, thank you very much, Gregg. So we will move on with our meeting, and I do encourage anybody and everybody to, if you have something you want to learn and then you want to share, please let us know. I mean, you don't have to be an expert to share something, right? We're all amateurs waiting and learning to figure out how to do things, and we're all here to help one another do so, just as our club purpose is to further exchange of information and cooperation among members to promote radio knowledge, fraternalism, individual operating frequency, and to so conduct club programs and activities as to advance the general interest and welfare of amateur radio service in the community. And Gregg, I think you just did a wonderful job of that. Thank you.